So anyway, Tom Chart from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is going to give us a quick overview or update on the program, and then we have some recognition that we're going to do for two of our very important members. Please welcome Tom Chart.
Thanks, Doug, and thanks to the Congress. We always appreciate being able to provide an update here. Hopefully we can get into the slides. They're up already. Perfect. I am Tom Chart, Fish and Wildlife Service, Director of the Upper Colorado River Program. I'm going to be talking today about both the Upper Colorado and the San Juan Recovery Program. State of Colorado is a member to both of those. In your agenda, we talked about a celebration of this recovery program, and we will close out my talk with a presentation. Do we have, next slide, perfect. I'm just going to review some of the basics of the program, what it's all about, what it's trying to do, a little briefly about the status of the fish, a couple of the recovery actions that we're both working on right now over the course of this last year, and then some of the actions that we see as being high priority needs moving forward into the future. Over on the right side, just a crew from the San Juan holding some of these Colorado pike minnow they've stocked out in the San Juan system. And then a razorback sucker was collected down in the inflow area to Lake Powell, which is a new finding over the course of the last 5 years. It's really encouraging. So just program basics. The goals of the program, we are trying to recover these 4 endangered fish: Colorado pike minnow, razorback sucker, humpback chub, bony-tail, all long-lived species, 30 to 40 years old. Colorado pike minnow females of that species do not become reproductively mature until they're about 8 or 9 years old. Therefore, we're in it for the long haul, and it takes a long time, with generation times as long as those, to see recovery, and that's why we've been at it since 1988. But I will provide you some idea of where we are with on the path to recovery here. But importantly, in addition to trying to recover these fish, we've been working with the water users all the way through this. We respect the water development that is going to occur, has occurred, and will occur in the Upper Colorado River Basin. So on the right side is this cartoon that kind of points it up to me. It really balances the federal agency's obligation to assist in the recovery of the endangered fish while respecting U.S. citizens' rights to develop water from the river according to the law of the river. Just geographically, the two programs are split up with the Upper Colorado program, the one I'm working with, and others in the room here too, trying to recover 4 fish in the Green and the Colorado River subbasins, and then the major tributaries being Yampa River, Duchesne River, White River, and then the Gunnison River. The San Juan program is only trying to recover 2 of those species because historically that's all we found there, and they are dealing entirely within the San Juan drainage and through the Four Corners region. The partners, this is what this is all about, really, is this collaborative effort that we've had going on for 28 years in our program and slightly less for the San Juan. The Upper Basin states are parties to it, the federal agencies being the Fish and Wildlife Service, National Park Service, Bureau of Reclamation. In our program, we also have hydropower interests. Water users sit at the table with us along with the environmental groups. For the San Juan, it's slightly different cast of characters. Hydropower is not at the table, but we do have strong representation from 4 Native American tribes participating strongly in recovery of these fish down on the San Juan. But again, it really is this partnership that we have developed through these years that really allows us to try to tackle these ecosystem threats on an ecosystem scope. And water development has continued and used this program and these programs to serve as their ESA, or Endangered Species Act, compliance. All told, if you look at the bottom graphic there, we have over 2,000 water projects depleting on average 3.7 million acre feet on an annual basis that point directly to these recovery programs and the recovery actions that they do on an annual basis to serve as their Endangered Species Act compliance. So there's a lot riding on a successful program. I mean, we all want to get these fish off the endangered species list, but at the same time, it's important for us to be showing progress towards recovery so that water users can enjoy this ESA compliance that these programs provide. So what are we doing on an annual basis to deal with the threats? Kind of in a nutshell, and starting in the upper left-hand corner, we're managing flows, and I'll speak a little bit more specifically about flow management on the Colorado River. But we're doing that throughout the basin. In the upper right-hand corner, we're reconnecting habitat by building fish ladders across these low-head diversion dams, screening irrigation canals, securing and protecting floodplain habitats in both the upper basin program and in the San Juan. Managing non-native fish in the lower right-hand corner, you see a guy holding a northern pike. That's really turned into our greatest threat towards recovery right now, is trying to manage these non-native predators. We are stocking both bonytail and razorback sucker in our program, and the San Juan program has gone to the hatcheries to stock out razorback and pike minnow down in that stretch of the river because they had been pretty much extirpated when we got these programs set up. But then central to all of this has been a strong commitment, an ongoing commitment to research and monitoring. And when you're around for 28 years like we have been, the power of our data sets is really becoming very powerful. And we can have conversations with water users or state agencies that are managing these non-native predators and really be able to put a good state of science in front of those to frame these conversations to really affect important management actions moving forward. I was going to run through just the status of the species, starting with razorback sucker. Both our program and the San Juan program are trying to pull these fish out of the hatcheries and get them repatriated to the rivers. This is our good news species, really. In the lower left-hand corner, you can see the accumulation of stocked adult razorback sucker in the San Juan that's just on this positive upward trajectory. On the right side, you can see similar kind of data collected from the Colorado River. The red bars indicating the numbers of fish the researchers are handling in terms of adult razorback suckers in the system that are now above 1,000. The blue diamonds indicate some preliminary population estimates, which would suggest that we have probably roughly 5,000 adult razorback suckers out there in the Colorado side of the upper basin. These fish are finding each other, they're reproducing, and we're starting to see signs of natural recruitment out there. These fish are also showing up down in the Lake Powell inflow areas in big numbers, and I was just down in Phoenix yesterday talking about a population, self-sustaining population of razorbacks down in Lake Mead that are using the lower portion of the Grand Canyon River for spawning as well. So again, good news with this species pretty much throughout the entire Colorado River system. With Colorado pike minnow, again, San Juan is stocking this fish out, but importantly, this last fall, they caught 23 of these young of the year fish, as you can see on the left side of that graph. First time they've been able to document wild reproduction and survival of those larval fish through their first summer to be collected in the fall. So again, a big step in the right direction in terms of developing a self-sustaining population on the San Juan. And on the right side is our long-term mark recapture population estimate data set for the Colorado River population of adult Colorado pike minnow that dates all the way back to 1992. And unfortunately, some of the most recent estimates are some of our lowest. But if we take a look at the service's goal for downlisting this critter of 700 animals, you can see that over this period of about 25 to 30 years, this population has demonstrated stability throughout that period of time. And there's some good signals in terms of young fish on the Colorado River system, too, to support these low numbers of adults right now. And then as far as the chub species go, humpback and bonytail, that's really an upper Colorado River program issue. We're stocking out bonytail over on the right. You can see, importantly, for the first time in 28 years, we've seen bonytail spawning in the wild in a couple of floodplains over on the Green River in 2015 and in 2016. Big news for that species. And then on the left, we're just tracking a population, one of 5 populations in the upper basin, for humpback chub in Desolation Canyon on the Green River. That data set backcasts all the way into the mid-1980s, and the trend that we're seeing through that population is for long-term stability there as well. So good news for humpback chub in our program, and then certainly strong population of humpback chub down in the Grand Canyon as well. I did want to talk briefly about non-native fish management. This is a graphic that our information and education coordinator put together for us. And it's difficult to probably tweeze out all the information that's going on in here, but what we're really trying to do is manage these non-native predators, smallmouth bass, northern pike, and walleye in the upper basin, San Juan program is trying to target populations of channel catfish on the San Juan. In the upper basin, we're trying to deplete these fish with repeated electrofishing trips throughout about 700 miles of river, multiple times throughout a year on an annual basis. But importantly, what we're really changing the focus from and adding to that over the course of the last several years is trying to identify some of these off-channel sources that these fish are leaking into the river. For a long time, we were hoping that the amount of escapement from places like Elkhead Reservoir on the Yampa River drainage was not undoing what we were trying to do in the river, but we found that that's not the case. We do have to address some of these off-channel sources. And importantly, at Elkhead Reservoir, we were part of a project to enlarge this reservoir back in the early 2000s, at which time we were able to screen the outlets to contain non-native northern pike and smallmouth bass that live in this reservoir. But this is a small bucket on a relatively big system that reservoir spills in most years, and the spills were unscreened, so we had loss of these non-native predators down Elkhead Creek into the Yampa River. So we've been working over the course of the last several years with the locals out there trying to come up with a solution, and we decided to put a screen on the spillway. We partnered up with CWCB, the parks, the district, Colorado River District as well. Ray Tinney was really instrumental in getting this project completed. But we installed this screen to the tune of about $1.3 million, and CWCB was able to dip into their Species Conservation Trust Fund and match some of the program funding to get this installed, and this went in September of 2016. I wanted to touch again on flow management, and we are managing flows with water users throughout the basin, on the Duchesne River, the Green River, the Yampa River, certainly on the Colorado River, through record of decision with Bureau of Reclamation in 2012 on the Aspinall unit, and as it affects flows on the Gunnison River. And then the San Juan is working with Bureau of Reclamation for releases out of Navajo Reservoir as well on the San Juan system. I really wanted to focus on the 15-mile reach. This is the place that we've been working with water users the longest. It's a stretch of river just below those major irrigation diversion canals right upstream of the tributary inputs for the Gunnison River. Historical spawning area for Colorado pike minnow and razorback suckers, but a place that was, the flows were being depleted probably more than any place else throughout the basin. So again, we've been working on this pretty much since day one within the recovery program. The hydrograph you see on the right is the, what we saw through the base flow period last summer. The black horizontal line is the target the service had set of 1,240 CFS. The blue hydrograph is what we actually saw out there. We were able to maintain about 1,000 CFS on a monthly average basis through the summer last year. The lower hydrograph is where we would have been without the cooperation from east and west slope water users, Bureau of Reclamation, the district. And if we take a look at the contributions we've gotten from all these different pools of water, Granby Reservoir, Wolford Mountain, Root Eye, Green Mountain, you can see that over the course, or since 1997, we've seen about 1.7 million acre feet of contributions to bolster the flows in the 15-mile reach, which gets us to the celebration part of what we're going to be talking about today here. In addition to those pools of water that we have either through MuniRec contracts or as a result of previous biological opinions, CWCB was able to tap into their Species Conservation Trust Fund and work with Ute Water Conservancy District over the last 2 summers to work out this agreement to get more water out of Root Eye Reservoir and the Ute Water Conservancy's pool to further bolster these flows. And you can see just this last summer, without these contributions of all these places, whereas we were able to maintain 1,000 CFS, there would have been periods of time where the flows would have dropped to 200 or 300 CFS in the Colorado River main stem. So this, I guess in my mind, really points up the cooperation and the collaboration that we've been able to develop. And if I could, I'd like to pull up Jana Mormon, our recovery program hydrologist, recently retired, and then Linda Bassey from CWCB and Larry Cleaver from Ute Water Conservancy District. We wanted to show a little appreciation for this extra effort that they're making out there in the river.
from the Upper Colorado River Recovery Endangered Fish Recovery Program presented to the Colorado Water Conservation Board and the Ute Water Conservancy District in appreciation for their participation in water leases from Root Eye Reservoir to support in-stream flows and the endangered fish in the Colorado River.
Thank you so much for the recognition. I also want to recognize Michelle Garrison of CWCB staff and our attorneys at the AG's office helped us to actually make it happen once we figured out we were going to move forward, and to thank the Ute Water Conservancy District for being such a great partner.
There's a conspiracy going on here to ruin my reputation and my image. But thank you, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without our attorney, Mark Hermanstead.